How do you describe Brady's status at this point? Questionable, doubtful,
I thought he looked good today.
hopeful?
I'm always hopeful. Always.
Always give you that out, yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't go, how do you handle the backup duties? I mean, you might have to do an American backup then, right?
We got lots of ways to move the roster around. We've always been, pretty comfortable with everybody in our locker room. I mean, the belief is if they're here, they're going to help us win football games this year. The coaching staff has always been excellent at putting their hand up first to say, we can adjust this for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're pretty set.
Yeah. What's it like now as a coaching staff, or as a head coach, juggling all the different designations of Americans and nationalized?
Yeah. The good part about our team is we don't even mess around with it.
Well, you can't break the rules though on it. Like some guys are eating snaps if they're.
Yeah, I think we don't even venture down that road, so we wouldn't worry about breaking the rules because we don't even sort of enter into that conversation. And never's a long time, but I mean we haven't yet. So
Yeah. Makes me think the rules are kind of unnecessary then if you guys don't need them.
Yeah.
What do you think of the whole thing?
I don't. I tend not to think about it.
Yeah. It's confusing for the average fan, that's for sure.
Sure, for the fan, it's not confusing in here, but we just, like I said, we don't. The way we structure our roster, we've been pretty good at not needing it. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but
Right.
we're pretty good so far about not going down that road.
Probably noticed they even had to stop the game the other day and to analyze it and discuss the count,
Yeah,
snap count and all that.
Yeah, probably wasn't paying that close attention at that point.
Mike, after the last game, Chris Strevler spoke about how much it meant to him to have his 4-month-old daughter in the crowd watch him play for the first time. And it kind of got me thinking, I said, how many of these guys, when you first met them, they got here, they were young guys out of school or whatever it was, young pros. And you've seen so many guys like him, Jake Thomas, Patty, Dembski, Sergio, there's probably 20 other guys I can name, that over the years you've seen them grow not just as a football player, but as a man and become a dad and whatnot. So what has that been like for you to see some of these guys go from that to now be a dad and stuff?
Yeah, on a personal level, I think it's terrific. Just to sit back, I usually stick around after practice and watch all the interactions and to see the guys interact with their families and see the players go over and interact with another player's family and how it all sort of unfolds. It's perfect.
Why is it important to not just be a football team like this? Feels like a family place, right?
Yeah. They're going to call it whatever they want to call it, right? We're trying not to label anything. It's going to be what it's going to be. I like it from a team dynamic. One of the aspects that I think is cool is to see these young guys coming in and seeing these role models, not only football role models, not only excellent players, but good guys that interact with their family or showing them the pathway to being good husbands and good fathers. And I'm not saying all our guys are perfect, but I think it's also neat to watch the young guys sort of look at what's going on over there and see them. Like some of our guys that aren't married and don't have kids have watched their teammates have kids, and you see them sort of, oh, this is Uncle so-and-so, because they've been around each other a long time. But yeah, the whole interaction is nice to watch.
What advice do you ever give to maybe a younger guy on the team when he becomes a dad? Obviously, there's lots of
Yeah, don't make the mistakes I made, buddy. That's what I usually say. Here's all the crap that I did. Make sure you don't do these things. That's what I do.
I won't ask you about the crap that you did. But what kind of difference do you usually, last one for me, what kind of difference maybe do you notice in a guy when he's a pro football player without a kid and then a pro football player?
They sleep more on the road.
You actually notice that?
Oh, they get on the road and they're like, oh, phew. We're dads, like It's, I think every one of them would say that, you know, the way their wife helps run the family allows them to do what they need to do to play pro football, to chase their dream. Every guy else will thank their wife for doing that. It's just common knowledge that, you know, your spouse steps up, especially during the season, to give you the time you need to be good at your job. And then part of that is when they get on the road, it's like, whew, I get an extra couple hours sleep.
Thanks.
Hi, Coach. Question for you. So I've been kind of paying attention to the Rourke Mazzoli kind of soap opera going on about availability for this week. What does Mazzoli bring differently that Rourke does not in terms of quarterback play?
Yeah, I don't know how different. I think the things he can bring are just the level of experience he's had. He's been the main trigger man, the starting quarterback for, you know, a number of years for different teams. He's a fiery competitor. He can run the ball. He's strong. So there's a lot of stuff that is very similar. You know, but you're not gonna discount them if Jeremiah Mazzoli's playing. You know, once again, I don't think we really worry about who the starting quarterback is. Because the system's more the system, and you gotta defend that.
And so I was talking at Jones for a little bit, linebacker at 10 tackles, or 9 in a special teams tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking to shoot for 10 tackles a game for the entire season. That's kind of what his goal is. He talked a lot about he gives a lot of credit to the DC and the coaching staff and the philosophy. He can play free and not really worry too much about being a robot out there and just play on instinct. And he's talked a lot about that. He thinks his instinct is pretty strong that way. So just kind of your thoughts on him playing that way, speed-wise, you know, everything.
Yeah, we always liked his speed last year, his quickness, the way he attacked gaps, the way he got into plays was always fantastic. I do think JY puts guys, as every coach is charged with, put them in the best position to be successful. I think JY does an excellent job of that. In terms of the number of tackles, I bet you if you re-ask the question and he would have 0 tackles and we'd win a game, he would probably take 0 tackles and win a game. So, yeah.
Mike, I have one more on Tony Jones, too. It's not easy.
What's going on, Ed?
Okay. How are you?
Good, buddy.
Great. Not easy to replace a guy like Adam Bighill. How have you seen him grow into that role?
Yeah, I don't think he's trying to replace him. You know, I think they're each their own man, and they play the game their own way, and they have different attributes that are going to make them successful, right? Tony is, you know, taken on some leadership roles just by his actions, and he'll find his voice too, but it's not always about that. But he is certainly a guy that brings just a ton of energy that you can just tell how much he loves playing the game too, like Adam. But they can be different players, and that's okay. We're not asking them to do everything that Adam did, and we're certainly asking them to do some things that we might not have asked Adam to do. So.
I was trying to remember when the team brought him in last year. The season had already started, or close to the start of the season, mid-June or so. When a guy like that becomes available, like what had your scouting report been on him already? That even though you were okay at that position with Kyrie and and Adam and all the depth that you bring,
tons of energy, loves to play the game, quite capable, brings some good, brings speed and violence to the game.
So is that one of those ones when the transaction wire comes, you think, whoa, and then
Yeah, certainly discussion immediately. It's like, oh, this guy's available, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I got one on Nick Dembski. I know we ask you about these guys often during the course of the year, but 2 touchdowns last week. You know, he's moving up a lot of the Blue Bomber all-time charts. It's kind of a cool story, the Winnipeg guy, and you know, what have you seen again from him and his growth even since he came here?
Yeah, I think he's still committed to the process of getting better. You know, like if you watch him sitting there in the meeting, he's really attentive. He's asking questions. He's making sure he's going to go out and do the right thing. He's not happy when it doesn't look the way it's supposed to look. He's continuing or trying to get better all the time. I don't think you can't be that good and never think you've arrived.
Right.
So,
Didn't you say last year that he knew a lot of the positions and that was one of his strengths because he had to have so many different roles in the?
yeah, he's very smart and he understands the game and he sees it extremely well, and you can ask him to do a lot of different things. I mean, his body type and his athleticism are such that he could do a lot of different things for you, in not only on offense, but special teams too. You could ask him to do some things for you, and we don't necessarily right now, but you're very confident in his ability to go out there and get the job done, and a much deeper level of understanding than a lot of guys on how you win in the CFL. How you win your rep, how you play offense.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one follow-up just along those lines. Could I ask you just a hypothetical? What if Nick had stayed a running back? He made the switch in college, but what if he'd stayed a running back and got to your guys' level?
Tons of production, great out of the backfield, probably a thousand guy.